I'm coming home, I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. Let the rain wash away all the pain of yesterday. I know my kingdom awaits, and they've forgiven my mistakes. I'm coming home, I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. 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 Tell the world I'm coming home. Let the rain wash away all the pain of yesterday. I know my kingdom awaits, and they've forgiven my mistakes. I'm coming home, I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I'm coming home.
Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Awakening Hearts. This is your host, Tess Vergara of Open Heart Mind Coaching. And I'd like to welcome our guests here, Addie and Peg. Thank you for joining. And of course, Sprinkles, who's here with us too. And yay! If you're here, it's probably because your heart has awakened, yes? And thank you for caller 416898, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for joining. I'm so glad that you guys took the time to be here on the call today. And yeah, your soul has called you to be here because you probably have had enough. You're done with the old world that's going on out there. You know, we're done with the old energy. We're awakening to the new world. We're ready to take our power back. We're ready to move through and out of the massive uncertainty, of the massive fear and stagnation, and we're moving on to a new world, to where there's infinite possibility, and really tap into our creation, our power to create that which we came here for, the life that we love to live. So I just want to call in the energy of open heart. Breathe that in. And I'd like to invite you to welcome in the energy of open mind, open heart, and all our friends upstairs in the angelic realm to just join us, to have fun with us, to play, to instill in us the energy of play and creation and wonder and merriment and all that good stuff, so we can have a light energy here as we talk about our awakening hearts. And whew, really excited. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. This is our second show, and we are going to talk about truth today. And I'd love for everyone who's listening, especially in the Zoom room with me, I'd love to hear your insights about truth. That's our topic. And do you feel the huge push for truth, especially after Oprah's speech, right? It's just amazing what's going on out there. Like everyone, we cannot not tell our truth any longer. Everyone is rising up to tell our truth. So is everyone feeling that? And what has your experience been? If you'd like to share in the chat box, I would love to share it all with the listeners later on. And for me, it's happening both on a personal level, and I can really feel it in the collective consciousness. And for some people, it could feel really uncomfortable. And for a lot of us who's been in this journey for a long time, it's also a very liberating experience to no longer feel threatened to speak our truth, to no longer hide, to no longer suppress, deny, or outcast the truth of our nature, of our beingness. Yes. No longer deny our experience. There's a rebellion happening within and as a collective. And like I said, we're rising up. We heard it on Oprah's speech. We're ready to be fully ourselves no matter what. So there's a sense of optimism. It's lifting all of us up. We're taking back our voice. We're speaking our truth. We feel encouraged and also unified, right? There's a unification happening in our world right now that, we're speaking up because we no longer feel alone, right? To gather all us awakening hearts and have that safe space and to have a new conversation that's no longer rooted in fear, but rooted in love and abundance and infinite possibilities. And that's my intention. Yeah, so finding your voice, standing your ground, living your truth in every moment. And that's powerful. It's a game changer. It releases the pressure, and what's coming up for me is an image of a champagne bottle, right? It's when you uncork it, where you have been blocked or stopped in the past. Someone asked me about finances today, about money. That's part of our truth, right? So wherever you are blocked and stopped, finances, intimacy, connection, leadership, growth, feel that uncorking when you speak up your truth, when you connect with your voice, when you connect with your power. And we're going to explore where you're not aligned with your truth. And that's where we need the energy of open mind, because like someone said here, the truth is really an individual experience. What I experience might not be true for you, but you can't tell me it's not true because it's my experience, right? And this huge energy that is so palpable, it's pushing for truth. And it can be overwhelming and exciting and intimidating and terrifying all at the same time, all in the same breath. It really is different for each and every one of us, depending on how long we've been in this inner journey to truth. And wherever you are is perfect. Wherever you are on your journey is perfect. There's no need to judge the experience and wish you could have been done with it already. Yeah, it's so I know in my experience there were so many times I just said, I've been through this already, can I be done, please? Can I be done already? But judging the experience and rushing it only created more misery. Yes. Yeah, someone's agreeing with me on the chat box. Yeah, it's not gonna make it faster. In fact, it only creates more resistance and only prolongs the agony. It creates more resistance, and where there's resistance, there's suffering. Suffering is no longer an option, okay? So doesn't matter where you are, love wherever you are, wherever you just got triggered, awake, and pissed off. I remember quite well my own rude awakening. I shared on the pilot episode how 2009 was a year of cosmic 2 by force for me, one after another. And I spared quite a bit of details and only shared 3 major ones where I had been slapped, hammered so heavily. So wait for my book, Unlocking the Power of the Heart, where I share all the drama and the unlayering of the onion and what happened between 2009 and now. But for right now, I'm here to tell you, wherever maybe you are, wherever you are in your journey to truth, your truth, not my truth, but your truth. Yeah, truth is something you experience. Truth is not something you read about or memorized from a textbook or inherited and got passed on from generation to generation. No, the truth is your experience. And there's levels of that. There's levels of self-mastery to get to truth, to this truth. So many degrees and facets to it. So I'm thinking of an elephant, right? Let me use elephant as a metaphor to explain this. So your view or version of truth is different if, for example, you're in a car, you're inside the car, and there's a huge giant elephant stomping on and smashing your windshield, right? So your view, your perspective of the elephant is different when you're inside a car. It's different if you're in a circus and you're watching the circus as an audience, and you're watching a ringleader or whatever you call the trainer who keeps the elephant in line and perform tricks, Yeah, your experience and view and perception is different when you're seated in the audience. When you're delighted and laughing and clapping and you're forgetting all the problems while watching this beautiful animal and its trainer create magical moments on stage, right? It's a different perspective. It's an entirely different experience. Or your perspective of this truth, this elephant, could be different if, for example, you belong to an animal rights movement and you're totally disgusted, and you're totally fighting for the rights of that animal who is caged and who is, being manipulated to perform tricks, and you're fighting to have it released so it can be treated humanely. And yet another perspective is if you're in Thailand, for example, on vacation and you're riding the elephant. You're having a time of your life in a safari, having an experience never before experienced, right? So we're looking at this elephant, but wherever we are in relation to the elephant, however we are looking at it, the degree, it's totally unique experience, and it's based on our truth, our experience of it. And we could be looking, even, we could be standing next to each other and looking at the elephant, and how we perceive that experience could be totally different too. And it's really depending on our openness and willingness to align with our truth. And what that means is to see the truth. Sometimes we have blocks and mechanisms in place, and they're not a bad thing. They're there, and we actually did put them there ourselves. The coping mechanisms, defense mechanisms, protective mechanisms, in order for us to keep safe, in order to survive. And again, so when I say, even though we're standing next to each other in front of this elephant, our experience of it would differ based on our openness and willingness and the filter that we use to experience the elephant. Are you with me so far? How are you guys doing? So just remember, the truth shall set you free, right? And we have different filters, we have different belief systems, we have different levels of our awarenesses that makes the experience different from each other, even though we're looking at the exact same thing. And that's why we tend to gravitate with people who share the same experience, who actually agree with us, right? Who have the same perspective, because it validates our truth. But for some of us, this truth-telling thing, because I don't know about you, am I the only one who experienced repression and suppression? And even though I've always been vocal, the fact that I was always vocal got me in trouble. And it was not something that was encouraged growing up. I got in a lot of trouble for speaking up, for telling my truth. And like I said, even though I was telling the truth, I got in trouble because they're also seeing things from a different perspective. So this truth-telling business, really, how can we unify it then? That's the question. How can we unify, knowing that we have different perspectives? And I'd like to get your insight on that. How do you invite others to share their truth without alienating them, without making them wrong? Because if it's true for me and it's true for you, then which one of us is wrong? Right? And is there such a thing as wrong? Yeah, we are all looking at and experiencing this same truth, just different awarenesses, different perception. There's a huge variety and gap. Yeah, someone's agreeing with me on the chat box. Thank you. Yes. And we cannot judge one's experience just because it wasn't true for us. They are equally true, just perceived differently. And how we perceive it really depends on our filter. And on NLP, that is called map of reality. Okay, we have different filters, how we filter information, and how we filter information decides what we perceive, and what we perceive decides or dictates what we allow into our experience, and what we experience becomes our reality. And I promised someone to we have 7 minutes before the break, so I'm going to touch on a little bit with money. So if you grew up with a filter of, and this is an inherited belief for most of us, that money doesn't grow on trees, that money is the root of all evil, or if we observed our parents that their only ways and mechanisms to make money is to work hard, then our relationship with money is based on that belief or decision, whatever decision we decided about money, whatever truth that is, we decided about money, then that becomes the filter of how we relate with money, how we make our living, right? So for some people, they have to really work hard to make money, or they have to go to school to make money. So there's that layer of truth for them. And her question was, why is it for some people it's so easy to make money? Well, because of beliefs, because of mindsets, because of inherited traditions and things like that, and because of some needs. For some people, to meet their need for certainty, they have to have a certain money in the bank, or things that they enjoy, and if they don't have that, they're not feeling certainty. So there's a different level of motivation for each individual, where my sense of comfort and certainty might be different for you. In my culture, or I wouldn't say culture, because there's also a huge disparity in income and wealth in, where I grew up in the Philippines. But in my household, we had, my father was the sole breadwinner, and even though I grew up in poverty, they also instilled in us that, faith is number one in my family, faith in God, that if we believe it, we can have it. And my mom really fought hard for us to be able to migrate to Canada first, and then to the US. So yeah, so it's a different thing. But what was my belief was the faith in God, that whatever it is, we could make happen. Now, there's also a thermostat thing, where yes, I can make things happen, but only up to a certain degree, because my awareness at that time was my father, even though he didn't graduate college, was able to raise 6 kids and send to college, and so that was the ceiling, if you have it. And then coming to America and observing other people having more, the house and the cars and the white picket fence, that kind of blasted through that financial ceiling. And then, and as I observed more people reaching for their dreams and actually realizing it, I had a boss who was, we're 3 minutes, and let me just check with, hey Sprinkles, I see your message. Yeah, just message me when it's all good. I'll keep talking until I see a message from you. So my employer, a CPA, he was a different kind of CPA. People's version of a CPA. We're talking about filters, and right, and versions of truth. But this particular boss of mine, he was a fun CPA. He was the one who, when I had to go to the border every year, oh, it's a long story, but there was a time of my life, he was the one who gave me my work permit, and I had to go to the border from the U.S. to Canada every single year to renew my working permit here in the U.S. This was a long time ago. And I would stay with him in his cabin, and he would point out to me the mountain, the nature, the sun, the rocks, the love of nature I inherited from him. And not only that, he also influenced me to buy rental properties. And so my whole world of finances and possibilities was really influenced by him. And when he passed away in 2010, it was a huge heartbreak for me, because he was the one, he and his wife even wanted to adopt my girls, if in case something happened to me. And that was a huge relief for me too, that if something happened to me, there was someone here in the US who was willing to take care of my kids in my absence, because there were so many things going wrong with my body at that time. So do you see these different versions of truth and how it affects your money? If you believe in the truth that money is something that's out there that cannot be obtained or achieved, then yes, it's going to be a life of struggle about money. So I would encourage you to really examine what are your beliefs about money. And if you really had faith, okay, if you really had faith, then what could not be possible? So I'd leave you with that. And yes, let's try it. Are we ready for the break? Let's go. Thank you, Sprinkles.
It's funny how it all played out. Broken dreams seldom get realized. is everything I desire. But as strange as it may sound, when I'm still, things seem to come around. The journey is not ours to control. 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 I'm glad that it is so. I'm lucky it is so. I'm glad that it is so. I'm lucky it is so.
All right, we are back. Welcome back to Awakening Hearts on Off the Cuff Radio. My name is Tess Vergara of OpenHeartMindCoaching.com, and today we are talking about truth. And there was a little bit about money there because money is a huge component of our life, right? Let me just read her questions to you just so you know where my response is coming from. So Lucinda asked, when money dries up, how to turn it around, how to turn the abundance and prosperity tap back on. And why are there people who do no practices, self-development, etc., make huge amounts of money? So those people already have financial thermostat already up there. So they're born with money, and they've, like the Trumps of the world, they're accustomed to that lifestyle, and that thermostat wouldn't let them. They have an internal thermostat in their mindset, in their emotions, that wouldn't allow them, conscious or subconscious level, to go below that. Now, the rest of us are catching up to that consciousness of abundance, consciousness of aligning with our truth. And that's why we're having this discussion, because we're unlayering all the untruth that was programmed into us. And the way I talk about money is there's 4 elements. One I already talked about. It's the mindset. It's how we're viewing our truth. And then the second component is the emotions. If you study law of attraction, or if you follow Abraham Hicks or anyone, The Secret, it's all about the vibration. Are you vibrating the energy of money? Are you vibrating the energy of abundance? And if there's unhealed, if there's anything inside of us that's unforgiven, unresolved, unhealed meaning unintegrated, unintegrated meaning there's parts of us that we're disowning, not allowing. There's experiences that we are not letting into our life, meaning we are in that energy of resistance. No, I only want to experience this, I don't want that. Then that kind of limits our ability to create abundance, to experience abundance in our life. And a whole lot of that is all about emotions. What are the emotions that are trapped in our body? So that's grief, that could be shame, blame, unforgiveness, worry. Worry is a drain on our, energy. So We need to free up any energy that we are focusing on the lack and the fear, and use that energy instead, and level it up level it to a consciousness of creation, of owning your worth, owning your value, owning your power to contribute, to make the world a better place, to align with your purpose and mission and your soul. And that's why we're awakening. Our hearts are awakening, because our hearts, our soul is calling us to transcend the limitation that we had been labeled or boxed in, or we just accepted as who we are. But that's not the extent of who we are. The extent of who we are is really unknown. We don't know, right? It's something that's infinitely in creation. We're creating who we are becoming every minute of the day, every moment, every breath. If we knew that, we wouldn't be stuck in the past. We wouldn't be stuck in unforgiveness. We wouldn't be stuck in resistance, judgment, blame, and all those things that keep us out of abundance. Okay, so the third thing is the actions. How are we how are we grounding our creativity into the physical? How are we grounding into action our desire to live the life we love to live? Okay, so there's a whole lot of alignment that has to happen for money to effortlessly come into existence and align with. Money is already there. It's waiting for you to align with it. Okay, and then, the soul expression is very much needed. I am really playing with the idea that, yes, people can make money, can make a ton of money, but at what cost? What are they sacrificing in their life? Is their life really whole, right? Like, if you look at the wheel of life or a big pizza pie, usually people, to make a lot of money, they're sacrificing their relationship. They're sacrificing their own creativity, sticking in a job that's sucking the life out of them just to have the money. And then their health deteriorates, and that's exactly what happened with me. And that's why I'm doing this work, because I burnt out. I lost connection with myself. Yes, I was experiencing success. Yes, I had a great life, but at what cost? So I want a wholeness of being, a fullness of life, where I feel fulfilled and successful, where I feel fulfilled and I can afford to do so many things, and enjoying and having the best time, and playfully living life. So that's the energy that I want. It's no longer waking up, go to work, pay the bills, then go back to sleep. It's no. And I bet you anything you're listening to this show because we are aligned with the abundance consciousness that is now the new conversation. So I hope, Lucinda, I was able to answer that. So when the money dries up, how do you turn it around? Well, my question to you is, where is your focus? Is your focus on the money drying up or the raining of money? It really depends on your consciousness, because money is just the effect. You are the source. You are the generator. Where does the money come from? From you. So turn the tap on and turn it around. Okay, we're gonna have more conversation about that at Unlocking the Heart of Money, I'm sure. But let me know your insights to the answers, and let me see if there are questions from anybody in the chat room. Yes, letting go of the stress. Yes, the stress. Thank you. Sprinkles. And yep. Please do contact me at openheartmindcoaching.com. Tess at openheartmindcoaching.com. Hopefully that we're talking about truth, but there's also truth about money that needs to be cleaned up. Okay, we've violated money for so long. We've made it the villain. We've made it the dirt. We treated it like dirt. That it's not something, that we should want in order to be spiritual, or this and that. So now there's a new conversation now that money and spirituality can be enjoyed and can be really integrated, because everywhere and anything and everything, there is not a single thing that isn't spiritual. Money is spiritual. So the separation of the two, anything that we're separating, limits or blocks abundance. And to bring that home limits the expression of you, limits the creativity of you, limits the potential of you. And that potential and creativity and all that is what makes up the abundance. It's your own state of resourcefulness. It's your allowing to bring in the abundance into your life. So tying that back to truth, what we're talking about, truth and your perception of truth, your experience of truth. Check in, and what is your truth about money? What is your relationship with money? I have 2 children, and they're 21 and 23 now, so I'm already empty nested, right? So I just want to talk about our filters and how did we install those filters? How did they come about? So I have 2 children, okay? And because of my own filters and coping skills and level of consciousness or unconsciousness, okay, it goes both ways, I raised them to be independent and self-reliant and able to take care of themselves. And in other words, I raised them from a filter of a single mom mentality. And I wanted to give them the same skills that had me single-handedly raise them. So no matter what happens in life, they know, and they'd seen me do it, that there's their resourcefulness is built in, and there's resources everywhere if you have faith and trust. So that's one filter. And the other filter that I can share is, while I was raising them, and I mentioned earlier, there was a whole lot of things going on in my body. There was a health scare. I even hurt my knee skiing downhill. And, it was a come to Jesus moment. Oh, please, wait, God. I'm not ready to go. They're not 18 yet. I would want to go now if they were 18 and able to take care of themselves, but they're not yet. So give me time. That was the conversation happening between me and God when I hurt myself downhill skiing. So what I'm saying is, because of the health scare and the uncertainty I was going through, I used that uncertainty to create certainty. Do you get that? It's a different mindset. Because of the uncertainty, I created certainty within myself, and that affected the kids too. Was it perfect? No. But I'm just telling you how filters are built, how filters come about. So it self-actualizes because of how I was treating myself, consciously or unconsciously. I didn't know I wasn't loving and respectful to myself, so I was getting sick and I thought I was okay. Um, I'm always at the doctor, so I might there might be something terribly wrong with me and I'm going to die soon, so I better raise my kids to be independent, to take care of themselves. And then later on, when I realized the visits to the doctor made me sicker and more anxious and more depressed, I was like, shit, stop that. Enough, enough going to the doctors. And I took matters into my own hands and I took care of myself, While I was in a fearful state, I was worried and anxious and stressed all the time. It was an endless loop of insecurity and uncertainty. What will happen to my kids if I die? It drove me nuts. So that was, like I said, another filter that contributed to how I raised my kids. And then a whole new set of beliefs grew out of that frustration, that, whatever. I bought an insurance that cost or that would give them $500,000 if I die. And then that was it. That was the end of that. And I started taking charge of my whole life differently. Does that make sense? The power is in our hands. If we believe the doubt and the fear and, all everything that's coming at us, the signals, whether to collapse our energy or to fight and stand up for our truth, our voice, and all that, really is depending on how we respond to the stimulus that's coming to us. Yes? Yeah, I was opening to listening to my body. At first, I was listening to the doctors. I'm responding to a conversation going on in the chat box here. Yeah. At first, I was listening to the doctors, but going to the doctors was making me even sicker. You know what I mean? It's like the dread and anticipation, and it was like, oh my God, if I see one more doctor touching me or, I'm gonna strangle them. So that I was like, enough. I listened to my body. I stopped taking my thyroid medication. I couldn't even touch the antidepressant medication that they gave me. I tried. I really tried, but I couldn't do it, even if it saved my life. So, yeah. But anyway, so different filters, and that's another filter, because even alcohol, I couldn't touch alcohol. I would do it socially, but it wasn't something that I could use to numb the pain or to fix whatever it was that I was experiencing or escape. The thing that I escaped to was work, which contributed to my burnout, to my meltdown. Yeah. Yes, it's a horrible cycle if you don't listen to your body, if you don't listen to your intuition. So I hope you're connecting that the resourcefulness is already inside of you, but it's really dependent on how we are responding to outside stimulus, how people are, or society, media is how we're letting external influences dictate how we live our life, whether we live it in a fearful state or an empowered state. And only one of those states will connect you to your own abundance, to your truth. Yes, becoming empowered with our truth. Thank you. Yes, gave up pills long ago from Peg. Thank you. Yes. Yes, that's why you are here. We are Awakening Hearts. This is a whole new way of living, of being, of seeing, and a whole new way of making money and relating to people, right? It's really unleashed, uninhibited. It's our truth. Cannot be contained any longer. It has to be spoken. It has to be expressed. And if it's not expressed, like I said in the last episode, God cannot do his work without us, and we cannot do anything without God. Whether you substitute God with universe, however, spirit, energy, life force, energy, substitute God with however you want to call the higher power. Okay, so going back to my kids and how I raised them single-handedly, no dad, no grandma, no aunties, no uncles to influence them. They only had me, but how they responded to me was so different. It's night and day. My eldest daughter experienced trauma, experienced the abandonment when I separated from her dad, and she was the one who got slapped, and she experienced and witnessed me and her father having a fist fight. So I'll ask you, what do you think is her filters growing up? And I would take her to, or both of them, to the store and say, I can only buy 1, 2, 3. We can't buy toys this time because, so it's a whole different experience for her. Now the single one, the second one, totally different experience. She didn't experience getting hurt. She didn't experience when she became aware, her mom was already making money, and her mom was already very confident, and she also didn't have to borrow clothes or wear a lot of hand-me-down clothes. She insisted that I buy her clothes and things, whereas the eldest one had to make do with whatever I gave her. You see how I conditioned both my kids in the same situation, but very different experience, and their reception of me totally different from different sets of experience. If you have questions, let me know. We're coming up to 1 o'clock. Wow, that went really fast. I hope you got a lot out of this episode. It's something that we really have to unlayer and uncover. How are we doing? It's 1 o'clock. I hate to let you go. I could go on forever, but we need to go. And I hopefully you got what I intended to impart, that there's so many different layers of truth, and that we can extend compassion to others whenever there's differing truths presented to us. All right? If you have any questions, let me know. I'm here for you. Tess, Vergara, openheartmindcoaching.com. I love you all. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week.
Guess I never really had the chance to speak my mind. Never thought you would hear it. Oh, and if you run, baby, I will follow every time. I show you what I'm feeling. You got me going, can't So keep